Welcome back to week 3 of the Big Exploration. This week we're learning all about English. When you think about English, you might think about all of the reading and writing you do at school. These are really important skills, and we don't just use them in English. For our first activity this week, you're going to explore some of the subjects related to English that you can study at university by matching up their names with a description of what they're about. Pause the video now and have a go at the activity on page 8 of your workbook. There's some interesting subjects. Usually these subjects are grouped together and called the humanities. Hopefully you've already heard of some of these from school, but there might be a couple of new ones too. Pause the video now to check that you've matched them up correctly. Last week, we spent lots of time exploring the different types of research that scientists do. You might be surprised that people do research into all of the subjects related to English too. For example, humanities researchers might explore the best ways to communicate with people through writing, or how people used to communicate in the past. Generally, the skills that you learn in English can be used to research how people behave. For our second activity this week, we're asking, is that really research? On page 9 of your workbook, you will find 6 research questions. It's your job to think about whether these are questions that humanities researchers have really studied, or if they're just made up. Once you've done that, take some time to think about what the answers to these questions might be, and how you would go about researching them if you were a researcher. Pause the video now to have a go. They were some interesting questions. Let's find out which ones have actually been researched. Will humans marry robots? Amazingly, this is a real research question. A university researcher at Maastricht University in the Netherlands has predicted that by 2050, just 30 years from now, robots will have become so advanced that we will think of them as friends, and may even fall in love with them. What are the similarities between Harry Potter and Jesus Christ? This one's true. A research student at National Taiwan University looked at the similarities between the lives and experiences of Harry Potter and those of Jesus in the Bible. Should plants have legal rights? A group of researchers in Switzerland really did look into this topic. They concluded that, like human beings, plants have a right to live, and that it's unfair to do experiments on them unless you have a good reason. Have people really been abducted by aliens? This one is true. Researchers at multiple universities all around the world have tried to answer this question. While they haven't definitively proven whether people have been abducted or not, they have developed lots of ideas about what might make people think that they have. This one sounds a bit silly, but psychologists who study people's behaviour looked at a boy who had a really difficult upbringing. When things got really stressful at home, he used breaking wind to calm himself down. Now some researchers suggest that breaking wind a lot could be associated with depression and anxiety. Could unicorns exist? This one's true. A philosophy student at King's College London really did look into the possibility that unicorns could exist. She looked at theories and stories about unicorns and unfortunately concluded it wasn't very likely, but could be possible in another world. What strange things to research? Have they given you any ideas about what you might like to research later in the Big Exploration? Write down what you would research if you were an English researcher at the bottom of page 9 in your workbook. There's also a space here for you to think about the differences between research in science and in English. That's it for this week. Thank you for joining us. Next week we'll be looking at all of the different research topics connected to maths. The Big Exploration. Become independently curious.